What do we watch TED Talks for? We want to be inspired, we want to be motivated, and we want to listen to extraordinary people who accomplished great things and see if we can learn a thing or two from them. Because after all, what makes us aspire truly great things is seeing other people do it as well. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you 5 TED Talks that are massively motivating and that you can use as fuel for your own goals. And I can tell you already that each of these 5 TED Talk speakers has a truly amazing life story to tell. Let's get started. The first speaker on our list of motivational TED Talks is HONOLD. Alex might seem like a regular guy at first glance, but he has overcome one of the toughest physical challenge ever attempted by any human being. Alex is a professional rock climber and he specializes in the art of free soloing, which is climbing without any ropes or security. He became famous after being the first person to ever free solo El Capitan, a 900-meter vertical rock face at Yosemite National Park. The whole thing was filmed by a camera crew and turned into a documentary that ended up winning the Oscars in 2019. And in 2018, Alex gave a TED Talk in which he explained in detail how he prepared over years for that very special day on which he planned to climb El Capitan.
Each year for the next 7 years, I'd think, this is the year that I'm going to solo El Cap. And then I would drive in Yosemite, look up at the wall, and think, no freaking way. It's too big and too scary. But eventually I came to accept that I wanted to test myself against El Cap. It represented true mastery. But I needed it to feel different. I didn't want to get away with anything or barely squeak by. This time I wanted to do it right.
It is one of those talks where you're just truly mesmerized by the single individual and his determination to accomplish something that has never been done before. At the same time, Alex of course knew that he was attempting something where even the slightest mistake, even the shortest second of being unconcentrated could surely cost his life. And honestly, for someone like me who is afraid of heights, I could sit on my couch knowing that I'm safe and still feel my hands getting sweaty, feel my pulse getting higher. I could not imagine how Alex could possibly be so calm in such a difficult situation. But that is exactly what made his TED Talk so motivational to me. It showed that anything is possible if you set your mind to it, if you're willing to put in the work, and if you're willing to accept that it might take years until you finally accomplish your goal. The second motivational TED Talk on our list was given by BERNS. Now this TED Talk is one of the most watched TED Talks of all times, and rightfully so. BERNS at the time of his talk was only 17 years old and unfortunately passed away in 2014, but he left us with a true gift of an amazing speech. It is a motivating tale of overcoming obstacles, not taking life too seriously, and just making the most out of it. Sam suffered from a rare disease called progeria, and he likely knew that his life was going to be much shorter than that of regular people. But he didn't let that fact hold him back and decided to go after his dreams anyway.
So even though there are many obstacles in my life, with a lot of them being created by progeria, I don't want people to feel bad for me. I don't think about these obstacles all the time, and I'm able to overcome most of them anyway. So I'm here today to share with you my philosophy for a happy life.
I think that right there is an outstanding attitude to adopt for anyone. Yes, of course there's gonna be obstacles in your life. Yes, of course there's gonna be issues that you have to deal with. And yes, it's not gonna be easy all the time. But why complain? There might be people who have it easier than you, but there are a lot of people who have it much tougher than you. So don't focus too much on what you can't do and instead focus on what you can do and make that happen. Just like Sam, we all have the opportunity to go after our dreams, make them become a reality, and live a truly fulfilled and happy life. And if we can get ourselves to do that, we can set an example and be a role model for future generations, just like Sam is now. Next on our list of motivational TED Talks is Dan Pink. You might recognize the name Dan Pink as the author of books like To Sell is Human and Drive, both of which became bestsellers. Now Dan Pink's entire career focus is the topic of motivation, so that makes him a very qualified speaker on that matter. And I love the TED Talk that he gave on motivation because it clears up a couple of misconceptions around that topic. Most people, especially at work, believe that the best way to motivate human beings is carrots and sticks. Either you reward them or you punish them depending on how well they do their job. And this is how reward systems have been designed pretty much since the industrial age. Dan Pink, however, thinks that this kind of motivation is outdated, it's antiquated, and in the 21st century we need to find a better way to motivate humans.
You've got an incentive designed to sharpen thinking and accelerate creativity, and it does just the opposite. It dulls thinking and blocks creativity. And what's interesting about this experiment is that it's not an aberration. This has been replicated over and over and over again for nearly 40 years. These contingent motivators. If you do this, then you get that. Work in some circumstances, but for a lot of tasks, they actually either don't work or often they do harm.
I find it incredibly interesting to not only look at role models for motivation, but also look at the science of motivation. See if there's tips and tricks that we can learn to motivate ourselves better and more effectively. So if this is what you're looking for, then I can highly recommend checking out the TED Talk by Daniel Pink. And if you're looking for more tips and tricks around personal development, then make sure to subscribe to my channel to get more videos about that in the future. Alright, TED Talk number 4 on our list of motivational TED Talks is by David Blaine. David Blaine is one of the most famous magicians of our times, mainly known for freezing himself in ice, getting buried alive, and holding his breath for 17 minutes underwater. And that last stunt, holding his breath for 17 minutes straight, is exactly what his TED Talk is about. Because the crazy thing about it is, there was no magic involved. There was no trick, he actually held his breath for 17 minutes. And I love the determination with which David Blaine talks about this huge grandiose project, something that has never been done before and that he wanted to accomplish. I find it incredibly motivating listening to outliers like him describing how he goes about such a project, how he breaks it down, how he adapts his body over months, and how he deals with the pressure and the stress that comes with doing such a fantastic thing on national television.
At minute 12, I started to have ringing in my ears, and I started to feel my arm going numb. And I'm a hypochondriac, and I remember arm numb means heart attack, so I started to get really paranoid. Then at 13 minutes, maybe because of the hypochondria, I started feeling pains all over my chest. It was awful. At 14 minutes, I had these awful contractions, like this urge to breathe.
I find it great to know that you don't have to be special in order to do special things in life. All you have to do is be determined and be willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish your goal. Work hard, be willing to learn from the best, and you will be amazed by how far you can advance. And last but not least, on our list of motivational TED Talks, we have TED Talk number 5 by SHAWN. SHAWN is the author of The Happiness Advantage and has founded the company Good Think Incorporated. He is known for his advocacy of positive psychology, which is a field that I'm very much drawn to as well, which made his TED Talk all the more interesting for me. On top of that, he's just a great speaker, truly funny and very engaging to listen to.
When I first started talking about this research outside of academia, out with companies and schools, the very first thing they said to never do is to start your talk with a graph. The very first thing I wanted to do is start my talk with a graph. This graph looks boring, but this graph is the reason that I get excited and wake up every morning. And this graph doesn't even mean anything, it's fake data. What we found is
Now the reason why I find his TED Talk so motivating is that he manages to show you that it's not only about struggle in life. It's not only about overcoming adversity, but it's also about just enjoying and embracing that we're here all together, alive and able to do whatever we want with our lives. And I enjoy listening to him in this TED Talk because he makes a very good point about happiness being a choice. You can be a high achiever in life, good education, great job, happy relationship, a lot of money, and still feel incredibly unsatisfied and unhappy. And the choice is really yours. What SHAWN is trying to say in his talk is that either being happy or unhappy to a huge degree depends on your attitude towards life. And I personally can't think of a more motivating message than the fact that happiness is always at your fingertips, available to anyone who is willing to grab it. And with that, we have completed our list of motivational TED Talks. I hope they already motivated you, and I highly encourage you to check out each and every one of them. I will put a link to all of them in the description down below. If you're interested in checking out more TED Talks, I made a video about the best TED Talks of all times, and you can find that right up here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.